Howdy guys, Attorney Walter Hnot. Now this is a bit of a unique video because I'm going to be giving you I guess you would call it the backroom version of understanding how law firms work when it comes to terminating the client relationship. Now, one of the basic things that people don't understand is that attorneys, we work with clients, but we don't always work, essentially in the same idea as an employee for an employer for a client in the sense of, we can't fire them. We can fire our clients just like they can fire us. So one of the first things you have to understand is that attorneys we're special. We're unique. It's not like an employee-employer relationship where you're like, well, I quit, blah, blah, blah. Well, we have it a little bit differently. We can actually terminate our relationship with our clients. We can fire them and they can fire us. It goes both ways. And so one of the basic things you have to understand is that there are certain types of clients that, after doing this for a very long time, I've learned to just stay completely away from. Now, I'll walk you through some of the basic categories. And the reason why this is something that's incredibly important, I had to fire somebody on Sunday. And as a result of that, I sat back and I thought about why this happened, what was occurring here. And let me kind of go through some of the basics of the types of claimants I'll usually not want to have an attorney-client relationship with going forward. Now, the basic simple ones, okay, for example, somebody commits a really, truly heinous crime, and the crime essentially is going to put them in jail for a very, very, very long time. So if they, commit murder or it's any kind of crime where they're going to be in there for, 3, 4, whatever years, then that is not the client that I want to have for disability benefits because obviously, their hearing will come, they'll do the hearing, but during all that time in which they're in jail, the issue is no accrued back pay because when they're sitting in jail for over that 30-day period, they don't get to claim the months thereafter. So the bottom line is, including that, so the bottom line is that there's no way for me to get paid when that client is just sitting in jail for doing some horrific crime. So that's an easy one. That's like, okay, the math doesn't work type of client. Okay. Then there's other ones, other types of claimants who I just want to get away from as soon as possible because they do something that I've learned is really terrible for trying to represent claimants going forward. So one of the ones that is always a problem that I always watch out for is essentially the rephraser. Somebody who maybe in like a single conversation will say and rephrase what you tell them. And they'll say, okay, so what you're telling me is blah, 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 right? This da, 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 da. And the problem with that is that when they rephrase it, they get it wrong. And then they get it so wrong that they say something that is completely the opposite of what you told them to do. And so then they rephrase it back to you and you're like, whoa, 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 that's not what I said at all. And then you have to kind of work it out with them. Now, I've had it with individuals where they'll rephrase it. I'll correct it. They've got it. And then by the end of the conversation, once again, they've got it completely wrong again. With those types of claimants, I won't take them. I absolutely won't take them. And if I have one and it turns out, then I'll just let them know, look, this is one of those things where I can't have you on the team because you're going to literally rephrase something in a way that, and this is the thing too, sometimes it's a mental thing. Sometimes it's a cognitive issue where they don't have the mental capacity to go ahead and understand things. It might be a super low intellectual quotient. It might be. But what I found is some people are just constantly rephrasing things wrong because in their head, they have some idea and then they try and take what you have and make it into this warped version of that so that it makes sense based off of something that they've learned in the past that was wrong. And then they rephrase it, redeliver it. And you're like, how the hell did you even get there? Like we were talking about this and you ended up over there. So the point is the rephrasers, that's a claimant I want to get away from. I never want to have that claimant at all. They're really, really bad for business because you just can't help them. They're always rephrasing things in a way that's wrong, and then they use it to harm themselves. It's like they're constantly stabbing at themselves with their own brain. So those are ones you really have to watch out for. Another one is the everything is an emergency person. Some claimants, they call every other day, literally every 2 days they call with an emergency. Oh, it's an emergency. I have to talk to the attorney right away. Every 2 days, every 2 days, every 2 days, everything just every 2 days. So the point is, when you are one of those everything is an emergency people, what you're really saying is, I need attention immediately, all the time. And that's usually because somewhere in their past, people just didn't give them the attention or affection that they felt entitled to. And that's fine. That happens to a lot of people. Some people, it manifests into this like, it's emergency. I need your attention right now. Well, let me get your attention right now. Oh my goodness, right now. I get it. But again, that's not somebody that I'm going to go ahead and take on their claim and work the claim, because I don't physically have the manpower, woman power, the time, right? Whether through myself or the employees, to constantly cater to somebody, every 2 days kind of gig. It's just, there's thousands of, we make so little when we do disability law. We make so little that we literally at the firm had to draw a new line in the sand that we never had to draw before. We last week had to cut out all potential SSI claimants except for those from the SRC. We're giving an exception to those, and only those who are 50 and above for SSDI. We'd cut everybody else out. We couldn't take them. We can't take those claimants. The SSA is denying so many of them. They're just so slow at this point. We just couldn't. We would win them and we'd still lose money. So the point is, these everything's an emergency person. Whether it's I talked with my friend and they said this, what do I do? I went to the emergency room and they said this, what do I do? And they're in the emergency room for like 2 hours. Everything's an emergency. Okay. Next person, the you work for me person. So here's the deal with those. Some clients are really removed from the reality that they kind of like try to order my staff around to make them do this, make them do that, make them do this, make them do that. And, it's more of a collaboration. We're sitting on our fence trying to think of, okay, what's the best way to win this claim? You're sitting on your side of the fence thinking, what's the best way to win this claim? But when somebody's always ordering the staff around, and so, and treating them like peons, treating them like peasants, things like that, I don't usually find out about it right away, because usually that staff member will just, take the brunt of it and keep working through and keep working through. Okay. But these people really do exist, where they think when they hire a law firm, it's weird. They think that they can just make demands. And some of them are outrageous. We've had people who have made demands that were literally like, the attorney has to pick me up to take me to the CE appointment, because I only want the attorney to physically be present when I get in and out of the car and into the car from that medical appointment at the SSA. Like weird demands. And so what you have to understand is that when somebody has this super high level, I don't know, it's like a king to a pauper or a king and tailor kind of scenario, just not interested. The reality is, I have to figure out how to win the claim. We have to do a bunch of other crap too, like scan all the PDFs, label all the PDFs, upload all the PDFs, label all the PDFs, put them into the proper order, then process all the PDFs. All crap that has very little to do with actually winning the claim. Just the administrative, like keeping a schedule and keeping the paperwork. Right? Okay. So, but when there's that individual who basically has that 1600s Lord and Taylor, and they treat the staff poorly, and you have to remember, there's always things to do. There's always things to work on. But when somebody is talking down to the staff, and I don't usually find out about it until a couple months down the line, and I'm looking through these emails going, what is this? What is this? So you have to understand that's something, again, that I don't have interest in. That's one of those things where I won't represent them, or ultimately they get fired. Next one, the constant victim. I know a lot of people make fun of victims in the sense of being a victim today is, like literally people are victims with less than an ant bite. That like an ant bites them and they're a victim for the rest of their life. And I understand that. I understand that people have this constant, like, the world put upon them situation. And the reality is that some people have it really bad. Disabled people who are severely or extremely impaired, they have it really bad. But most clients that I have, they're not in that severe category. They're in the moderate category. And I have to fight to try and get essentially what is called a vocational allowance based off of all of their moderate impairments. Okay. So what does that mean? It means that a lot of people that call the firm are essentially in this position of they're not actually severely impaired. It's just that they have a lot of moderate impairments that severely limit their ability to do the job they once did and all other jobs in the national economy. Or at least that's what I'm trying to prove. That's the whole point of it. So you have to understand when it comes to this constant victim thing, when we get, basically people who are constantly in this setting of life has put upon me, life has destroyed me, life did this to me, life did that to me, where they add an ism onto the end of everything that happened in their daily existence. Every day there was this thing or that thing. And look, racism exists, sexism exists, but it doesn't happen every 3 hours. Okay. And those are the types that fall into that constant victim setting where I won't represent them. It will end up with them getting fired. I can't work with that. Okay. Then we get to the really bad ones. Then we get to the really, really, really bad ones. The really bad ones are what I call career failures. They're people who essentially will hire a law firm and go ahead and expect the law firm to do every little thing that could potentially exist related to the claim. They want me to sign their name for them. They want me to fill in things I've never known about them that nobody else on earth knows about them, which makes it impossible for me to fill in for them. And I'll tell you a secret about how people work with lawyers. The more wealthy somebody is, the more attuned to the reality that they are when it comes to what the lawyer's job is and what the lawyer can actually do. Because people who have money know generally what's going on with the law and generally what that attorney is going to be doing and generally what the outcome might be. So they'll hire them, but they know this is the directional route. Poor people, completely different situation. Poor people, meaning like hardly any money, they hire a law firm and it's all magic, magic, magic. Some of them hire the law firm and expect that the law firm will literally do every single thing for them. Now, these people, I always recommend to go with the big box firms because big box firms, not a lot of client interaction, not a lot of custom material, not a lot of questions. You're sitting there, you're waiting for a while. You're waiting longer and longer and longer because there's not much interaction with the DDS reps. There's not much interaction with submission of forms. It's just, here we go. They got a denial because they didn't go ahead and complete their forms. Boom, we'll do an appeal. They got another denial because they didn't do that thing that they needed, couldn't submit the motion on the law firm's end. Boom, another technical denial, appeal. Now we're going to the hearing. Sit. And that's what the big box firms have a tendency, a history of doing with this sort of stuff. So I always recommend those individuals just go to that because the bottom line is when you are a career failure, like somebody who purposely puts things in front of your potential path of success, I don't have time to deal with somebody who's like a narcissistic, weirdly satisfied with punishing themselves person. I don't have time for that. And that's what this particular individual did, except it was a little bit worse than that. What they did was they basically bullied one of the back office employees. And they bullied the person with these mean emails. I didn't know about it. I didn't know about the emails until literally weeks down the line. Then I get them because I told the employee, you have to send them to me. I have to look at these. So I'm reading through them and I get livid. I'm absolutely fucking pissed. I'm really angry. So then I'm reading through this. I don't even get to the last ones. I'm firing this person before I even get to the last ones. So this is basically, and there's no information that signifies who this person is in this email to them. But this is where I'm coming from, just so you understand from a lawyer's perspective. And this will hopefully help you understand essentially where we're coming from when it comes to getting things done in an orderly fashion. God, how important is orderly fashion in law? It's so important. Everything is about timelines. We have this many times to do this thing. We have this many times to do this thing. We have a remand. We have this much time to do this thing. We have this much time to do that thing. This must be submitted within so many days before this date. Orderly plan. This is what I sent the person. Okay. You refuse to complete, hello, it's an email. You refused to complete federally required forms for a hearing because basically they wouldn't complete the forms. And these are required by the judge to have the hearing. You had notice of the requirements for these forms in advance. It was months and months, and purposely sabotaged their delivery. You believe the SSA should magically excuse you from completing these forms. The simple thing is this: I don't have time for claimants who sabotage my ability to get a judge to approve them. That's the most important line in this whole letter. Focus on that one. Let me read it to you again. The simple thing is, I don't have time for claimants who sabotage my ability to get a judge to approve them. You have been fighting with my back office for years, and that's true. This person, I read through even more emails. I was livid. I was livid. You've been fighting with my back office for years, which has stunted my ability to build the claim. They never even finished the system that they were supposed to get done. All it was just claimant won't do this, claimant won't do that, claimant won't do this, claimant reluctantly did this form. It's just the dribbles in of the basics. We never even got to the higher level stuff. And all of a sudden now they're out of hearing because we couldn't get them to move. Next paragraph. It is such a huge stretch that you view yourself as a victim. When you have delayed my 10-level system over and over again to the point where the employees couldn't work with you properly. Somehow in that, you visualize yourself as a victim, but yet you cause time and time again a clog where we couldn't proceed. Maybe you feel that wait times are atrocious because it took 3 years to get to a hearing, okay? Which, obviously all you guys know is pretty much standard operation for how the SSA is working now. So maybe you feel that wait times are atrocious, and I do too. So please call the SSA commissioner and the senator and the House reps and the President of the United States. They all control that. They have underfunded the SSA to the point that a 1 million person backlog with a 25-year low unemployment numbers have resulted. You may be asking, who requires the forms to process your claim? The same people. Call them. See how quickly it takes for them to allow you an approved variance to never have to submit forms to the SSA going forward. Obviously, an impossible scenario. Obviously, it's ridiculous. Obviously, this person didn't care. Here's what happens now. I always like to put a here's what happens now in the email so that they're understanding what's going on. We have significant time and energy spent on a bad investment. We want you to be found disabled so that we get paid from our fee petition. We will be submitting our hours to the judge for review. Your next attorney will also be submitting a fee petition for their hours to represent you. This will undoubtedly slow down the process of things, but historically it is accurate for how you have injured my ability to process your claim. The SSA will be notified of my withdrawal of representation. Go find another attorney. They will be sending those same forms and additional representation forms to you as well. So now they're going to have even more forms to fill out if they even want to proceed. The bottom line is that I looked the other way, and here's what I realized with this. Here was where I was wrong in this situation. I was wrong with how I handled it with the employee. The bottom line is that I looked the other way over and over with your aggressive emails because I saw some early ones, back in the day with the initial filing. Look the other way with your aggressive emails and hate-filled calls. As the most viewed disability attorney in America, I should have done a better job with protecting my employees against someone like you. I should have valued what my employees were saying about your hostile phone calls and emails in the very beginning. I didn't take the appropriate actions to remove you from the roster, and that was a failure on my part. We could have filled your spot with positive and active claimants. This situation will serve as the foundation for a new rule with client interactions at the firm. Look to the mail for a withdrawal notice and let your next attorney know that the notice will be located in the ERE. Good luck on your hearing. So what do you need to know? Sometimes we get bad people that have no intention of completing forms, being part of the process, the real FU people, the people who literally don't care whether they live or die so long as they can hurt somebody else in the process, like screaming at an employee about not wanting to fill out forms. Now, in practical application, I've been doing this too long to not know what's going on. I know what's going on. They have no new medical. They haven't seen a therapist, psychologist, psychiatrist, any specialist, not even a PCP, nothing. That I know what's going on. And so their response is, hey, I don't want to fill out shit for new forms. I don't want to fill out new forms at all. And that's because they know it's going to look bad. Because people who are truly suffering usually get medical treatment. They go hand in hand, right? When somebody goes, I don't want to have to pay for the bill of going to the hospital, and they have no money to their name, the judge is thinking to themselves, well, if you were really that severely in pain, you wouldn't have the choice. Because it's obvious. If you're just severely in pain and just can't function, you're going to end up at the doctor anyways. That's the reality. The people who are in the like, I'm making a choice about not going because I don't want to pay for it. That's the mild and the moderate people. And that's another thing that is so crucial to understand about this program that a lot of people don't understand. Look, there are people, okay, who don't have legs. There are people who have lost both their hands, lost both their feet. There are people who are constantly near death with cardio issues, with neurological issues. So when you get somebody that's like, I sometimes have anxiety and I didn't want to continue with the job because I just, those are two very different people. That's just very, there's a huge gap in between those two. So you have to understand, and I explained it. I'm doing this video not because I want you to understand, basically that I fire some people sometimes. I'm doing this video so that you understand the other side of it when we're representing people. Now, granted, your side, sometimes you guys hire crap attorneys. You do. They never call you back. They don't do any custom material. They're not spending much time or energy on the claim. I get it. Sometimes you guys hire crap attorneys and then you're sitting there going, well, I can't even get a hold of my attorney. And I get that. I totally get that. But that's not usually my problem. My whole system is this giant 10 level. Do I have one over here? I don't have one. It's a giant 10 level system with lots of forms. And I go through and learn everything about your claim. And then there's a whole learning part to it about all the different types of impairments, the symptoms, the signs. And then there's a whole strategy with testimony to be used. What evidence is needed? There's like a whole thing with this program. And so when people are like, well, F you, I don't want to have to fill out your program. I'm sitting back going like, why would you sign up with me when you could have clearly gone with an attorney who wants to do the least amount possible with this claim? Would that not have been a better option for you? Which in this case, that's this person. They literally would not fill out the forms. They were like, nope. And I know why. They don't have new evidence. They don't have good evidence. So, they're coming at this like, and so when we go over stuff, what I need, what I want, and some of these people, they don't even complete the intro forms. So it's like to actually do the full analysis, you can't. It's just not there. Inside their head, the information I need to know about, those are the questions in the forms. When I can't get those filled out, it slows down the whole thing. So my point to you guys with this whole situation, and I hope you understand it, is that I want you to see where I'm coming from with why there are some problem claimants and why some of them get terminated as a result. And sometimes it's rare, but sometimes somebody will terminate the relationship with me. They'll be like, you know what? This is too much for me. That's actually like, one per year, there will be somebody, this is too much for me. It's too much for me. I don't want to deal with it, blah, 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 blah. Now, look, in reality, those people always go back and get a job. The filing process scared them to the point where they just went and got a job. There's that aspect of it too, because a lot of people used to look at disability benefits as like, I could get a check and go back to school. Well, I could get a check and have some kids, right? That's how they used to view it. It's not like that anymore, right? These people that are just like, living in this fairyland of anybody can get on. I know Steve plays basketball and there's nothing wrong with him. And he's got it for a back problem. Not anymore. Not anymore. Those people have overpayments left and right. I don't know if you've noticed, but Congress is lit up with all the excitement about the billions of dollars of overpayments paid by the SSA that they want to recapture. Okay, now I'm going to tell you some unwritten rules Okay. So that you understand where I'm coming from as somebody who's owned a law firm, personally mine, for 10 years. I worked for other law firms before this one. That's Shadow. He's bitching and complaining that, yep, that's him. Okay. I know. We'll go to bed soon. I know, Papa. So the deal is this. There's an unwritten rule at the firm. I'll just tell you what it is so that you understand before Shadow explodes. What's up, Papa? Hold on. Let me grab him real quick. Hold on. Let me get the baby. Okay, come here. We're not going outside yet. Hold on. Come here. Come here. Okay, come here. Okay. What are you doing? Okay. All right. It's past his bedtime. I know. Okay, so the deal is this. If somebody throws a hissy fit when I'm on vacation, because, I do the 2-week vacation thing where I go up to Maine, right? If they throw a hissy fit, and it's a hissy fit that makes a little bit of sense. Like, they haven't been throwing them all before. Something happened in their life. Somebody died and they're freaking out. They need to talk to me. And they make these demands that I have to pick up the phone immediately. That's fine. But if they're always one of those people who's like, I need to speak with him within the next 5 minutes, and I'm on vacation, the client gets terminated. That's it. Know this, know that. Back office knows. Client gets terminated. The new rule is that if somebody is bullying any employee at all, I have to be notified that day so that I can review the emails and then from there make a decision. Because I didn't do that right with this one. I didn't do it right. I should have fired that person a long time ago, but I didn't do it right. And that's because I'm used to having to go ahead and put up with very difficult people. Because that's what a lot of my clients are. They're people who are poor, never been truly educated, worked in the field, learned from the field, and learned a lot of bad stuff. So my point to you is, now you understand. I know. Okay, you want to go outside? Let me scoot you a little. Okay. I know that you guys have friends that are seeking disability benefits where some of them are amazing people and some of them you just can't stand because there's always some problem. They're always creating some delusional issue and they just never seem to escape the issue. My point to you is, understanding all this. You want to go outside? Okay. There. All right, I got to take Shadow out. Oh, there you go. My point to you is this. Keep in mind, as you go through this process, to use the attorney in the best way possible. But when you refuse to complete forms that are required literally by the SSA to push the claim forward, you have just massively wasted that attorney's time and created a multi-$1,000 expenditure that was a bad investment. Then you add on top of it that you're bullying employees who are trying to help you. This one actually responded over the weekend when they were off from work to try and help the person. It just got more and more disgusting as the reading went on. So my point to you is, learn from this video so you understand it. Next thing is this, guys. I'm going to be doing a video specifically on, and I got to let them outside because I just want to run around, on what the Republican plan is for Social Security benefits. It's not pretty. It's not pretty, but you need to know what it is so you understand where things are at, okay? The Democrats don't really have a plan other than tax rich people. Sounds similar, sounds like it usually is because it is. The Republican plan is a little bit different. So I will catch you guys at the next video. If this video helped you, please remember to like and subscribe. Click the all button. YouTube has a thing now where it's got promotions beta. We have to pay to keep our videos being seen in your suggested list. So what they do is they show our video for one day and then they cut it out of the suggestions. And then you have to pay to have your content show up in the suggested list now. So if you want to see more of my videos, you'll probably have to click on the channel to actually get to them. It was the worst move YouTube could have made. They got a new CEO. They blew it. They just screwed it up. We're literally about to export a ton of videos over to X, over to Facebook, all that stuff. We're officially going and spreading out from YouTube. I will catch you guys a little bit later. You have a wonderful night and enjoy your night, and we'll go from there. All right, have a wonderful night. Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye.